And it's all this AI, and Neuralink is a key component. Without Neuralink, we're already at the phase of digital AI girlfriends, and it's creepy. Guys are downloading these chat GPT girlfriends because it makes them feel good. That's why I'm saying I think love more than sex. I think guys, yeah, guys get horny all the time, sure. But what they really want is emotional satisfaction. Who doesn't? Women, the same thing. I think these guys are going to, you know what I think too? What's interesting is women and men have this. I think it's going to be very, very different. I think women are going to be less susceptible to this Neuralink stuff. The reason is women want to have babies. Men want to have babies too, but men don't literally make the babies within them. So the emotional satisfaction for a man can be falsely applied.
What a brain dead take, Tim, even for you. Do you really believe that women are going to be less susceptible to this? There are so many daily videos of people posting about how dissatisfied they are with their life. And you know what all those videos have in common? They're mostly women posting them, so there's no way that women are less susceptible to this. And I'll tell you how it's going to go down. First, the early adopters, which will mostly be men, will get all the kinks worked out and make it a nice, safe space. Meanwhile, AI will be ramping up, taking away more and more jobs, mostly done by women. So the time this is finally ready to be rolled out, women will be so dissatisfied and in shambles that the life they were promised didn't happen. So they'll go live that life in the Neuralink. And just like when the dating market shifted, when online dating blew up, you'll see once again a huge shift, as there'll be significantly less women around because they'll all be living their Neuralink lives. And then the normie men wondering, where's women? Will hop on because now they have no choice. It won't have anything to do with babies. Women already don't want to have kids unless it's a Chads. And even then, it's not a guarantee unless there's a huge child support settlement. So let's stop pretending just because they incubate the kid that there's this huge difference in emotional attachment. And I'd argue there's even less. Isn't there something like 10% of women who experience postmodern depression? That's a whole lot of women who hate their kids. As I'm sure there's a lot less cases where a man hates their kids as soon as they're born. So no, Tim, I think that's a really goofy argument, thinking just because she incubated the kid that she somehow has more attachment to it, when there's countless studies that say otherwise.
And I don't know if it's 80% or 20%. Maybe it's 51-49. What I mean is, you plug a woman into the Neuralink and she gets this loving man and he says, I am everything you'll ever want, but she knows you can't give me a baby. For a guy, he can have that, a woman can't.
Unfortunately, we don't live in a world of cans. Yeah, a guy can have a child later where a woman can't, but if you look at all the stats, it's most likely he isn't going to. So your argument for that is moot, because a lot of guys aren't going to have kids. And just because they can doesn't change the fact that they won't. And as for women, you can already see this today, the time they're ready to settle down, it's too late. So they'll just link up and live the life they think they deserve. Because with not enough chats to go around to give it to them, this will be their only option, leaving the rest of us losers to figure out another way. And I'll bet anyone anything that once all the stats come out for these Neuralink lives, that there'll be a lot more men living this artificial life with a family, while the women are doing their forever party girl phase with their 6'4" Chad.
I suppose they could give a woman the experience of being pregnant with the Neuralink for sure. And maybe that would be it. But I do think there's going to be an inversion here where guys are not going to feel the same drive for having a kid as the woman does. And I think women are the principal driver of families historically, and it's because women want to have kids, especially when they get to a certain age, like something they want to do. Guys want to have kids too. I'm not saying they don't, but it's not the same biological imperative because guys can have kids up to the point that they die. A guy could be 70 years old and still have kids. So they never feel the same pressure to get pregnant and have kids. Maybe the Neuralink just satisfies that woman's desire, but I feel like anytime she exits the Neuralink, she's going to be like, no. Whereas a guy could be like, oh, whatever. Guy could be thinking, yeah, I'm 35, I'll have a kid whenever. I'm 40, I'll have a kid whenever. And they do that now. So it's going to get wild, man. I think guys will be the most susceptible to this, especially with the way things are going now in dating apps. It's going to be wild, man.
I really don't think Tim looks at the bigger picture of these things. He just can't wait to throw men under the bus. Do you really think women will still want to have kids when they can have it in the Neuralink? You can already see that with pets now. They pass them off as their kids. So for sure, a digital kid will scratch any biological urge to have a kid, especially when he's not a 6'5" billionaire Chad. And I don't know why you keep throwing out, well, guys could have kids in their 70s as some sort of argument. Most guys don't want to have kids when they're that old. Guys having kids at that age and they're not mega rich was either an accident or because they were a loser most of their life, meaning they weren't the Chad archetype, so they had to spend their 20s and 30s building up the resources, so some 40-plus-year-old woman who didn't get her Chad will pick them. So it's not like these men want to have kids when they're this old. It was just their first opportunity to have it the traditional way. Women are the reason this is happening. They hold out, hoping to get their Chad, and then when they don't, they're in their late 30s, and then hook onto the best beta that they had around. And that's why men are having kids later in life. It's not, I'm 35, It's because these men think they have no choice. And once the artificial womb becomes a thing, I'm sure you'll see men are the ones having kids way earlier than women. Tim really needs to start looking at the younger generations and stop applying the old millennial logic and values to everything when it comes to this sort of stuff. Each generation of women want kids less and less, to the point where they make dogs their kids, and eventually even that will be too much work, and I'm sure the dog will be digital too.